What's cracking? Welcome to Griffin and Bass. He's Griffin, I'm Bass. Before we get into everything regarding the Lions-Eagles, Week 1, Michigan State and Akron, Michigan and Hawaii, and our takeaways from the weekend, got to remind you guys to like and subscribe everywhere you could find us. That'd be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We also got full episodes on YouTube and DetroitSportsNation.com. All right, Ryan. All right, Lion. Ryan, the offensive. Lions. Yeah, right. Lions and Eagles kicked off the NFL season for our Detroit Lions. And, Ford Field was absolutely rocking. And the Lions showed that grit, but once again in a losing effort. So before we place blame on whoever we both decide to place blame on, I want to get your thoughts on the environment, the way the team came out, the way the team played, and what your takeaways were.
First off, it's #grit, so jot that down. My takeaways, they lost by fewer points than I thought they were going to lose by. The atmosphere, the fans came out and did their thing. It was incredible. Lions players and Eagles players talked about, this is so loud, like I couldn't hear anything. And shout out to Lions fans who were at the game, because they treated it like a for real playoff game. Like, the atmosphere was just so loud and intense and raucous. And that's what we want every home game. But if you keep losing these games, the fans aren't going to bring the same energy, because there's going to be less and less continually to play for. And they have a home game in Week 2 against the Commanders. So we'll see how the fans come out there. I expect it'll be with a little less juice than what they came out with. But I thought the fans did great. They did better than what the team did. And I know the Lions made a late comeback, but they were down 17 in the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing by 3. But they never had the ball with the opportunity to tie or take the lead. Like, they got down 3, the Eagles got the ball, and then the Eagles just kept it the rest of the way by, converting, getting first downs, and running out the clock. So I think the game was still a little bit further out than maybe what the score would have, would lead you to believe. I think the Eagles played better than a 3-point win, I guess, if that makes sense. But overall, I was pretty disappointed with what I saw overall from the Lions, and I'm sure we'll touch on that in a little bit. But what were your overall thoughts?
Yeah, so, I was looking and thinking about, our show and what we're going to talk about as I'm watching the game. The immediate thing that came to my mind is one of my favorite Westerns, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because there was all of it in this game. And the good were some really goods. In the first quarter and the last quarter, the Lions outscored the Eagles 21-0. So they started strong and they finished strong, which is what you want. Another one of the goods was DeAndre Swift. You've been touting this man since we got him, and he's been doubted and he's had issues, and he was absolutely sweet. Third down conversions, absolutely great. And like we mentioned before, the fans coming out and being loud, you can't ask for more from the fans. And the O-line, despite everything we talked about going into this game, the issues, the questions, the injuries, the O-line held up pretty good. So I was really impressed with those aspects. The bad, while the Lions won quarters 1 and 4, 21-0, they lost quarters 2 and 3, 38-14. Can't do that. Can't do that. Goff forcing throws into double coverage. Can't do that either. And the Lions D, as we know, against mobile quarterbacks, still needs a lot of work. And then the ugly, Goff's pick 6, which goes into him throwing into double coverage. It was a bad. His receiver faked him out. Receiver ran the stop and go, and Goff threw the stop. And there was nobody there but an Eagles defender. So that was absolutely ugly. Tracy Walker, the ejection, also ugly. And then, along with the Lions fans coming out and being loud, a little too rowdy. There were fights between Lions fans. They weren't even with Eagles fans. I saw guys wearing blue jerseys fighting each other outside of Ford Field, and there were some fights in the stands as well. Saw, an Eagles fan and a Lions fan being ejected. Lions fan holding his nose as it's bleeding. Too much. You're fighting over guys who don't know who you are. What are you doing? Why would you ever fight for a group of 22 men who are never going to fight for you? Well, so I don't understand that one.
You don't know that's why they were fighting.
I don't care. The number of times I've seen fights and been involved in fights around sporting events, it's never an intelligent reason. All right? It is never an intelligent reason. So I don't care. But the fact that a Lions fan is fighting, look, I understand that you have some Lions fans who are always happy, some Lions fans who are always negative, and then you got a few of us in between. But that's no reason to fight each other over it. That's ugly. It doesn't need to be a part of it. But the Tracy Walker, ejection, Goss pick six were the ugly things that need to get fixed. Playing with passion, I understand. But you got to keep your head on your shoulders. If you're Tracy Walker, you're one of our captains, you're one of our leaders. And Goff, you have got to be smarter with the football. So that was my good, bad, and ugly from this game. I want to focus on, some of the goods because, like I said, we finished strong. Got behind in a hole. That sucked. But last year we lost to this team 44-6. So we got behind in a hole early last year and never fought our way out of it. This year, got down ugly early. That pick six made it a 2-possession game. And that grit, they kept fighting and kept fighting. They just never could quite get over the hump at the end there to have a 3-point loss.
You don't get points for fighting in the NFL. You should be fighting. Like, what are you talking about? It's your job. It's how you make a living. You don't have anything to do. You don't have to go to class like you do in college. No, that absolutely not. It's not sliding this way.
No.
But you were right about DeAndre Swift. He played amazing. I thought Aiden Hutchinson played pretty poorly, but it's his first game, so you're not going to take grand statements from either, right? If he had 2 sacks, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, this guy's Reggie White. And now that he had half a tackle, he's not some bum either. Rodriguez ended up being the highest graded player on the Lions defense per PFF, which exciting for him, but it goes along with the story of what we said about Malcolm Rodriguez all along, is it's great that there's so much hype for him, but there's so much hype for him because his defense is bad and he's going to play right away. And if he really was your best defender on Sunday, and that's just not a good sign because this is still a guy who has a long way to go to be like a good NFL player. And right now, obviously, he has potential and the fans love him. But like this guy can't be your best player on defense or else you're going to give up 38 points and you're going to lose every week. The good, you mentioned the offensive line. The bad, Amon-Ra St. Brown had like 2 or 3 drops. I didn't think he played well really at all. And I thought Jared Goff was pretty bad too. And I take less stock in the Lions scoring a bunch of those points late. I understand that they could have won, but I don't really think so because they didn't have the ball with the opportunity to do it. You still had to make a stop to win the game. And then when it looked like they did have a little bit of momentum, Dan Campbell chose to do an onside kick and gave the Eagles the ball, the 40, the 50, whatever it was, and then they went down and obviously scored because that's what they were going to do when you gave them the ball that far. So there was a ton of stuff that I didn't like from this game, and it's weird to say about a game when your team scores 35 points, but I thought some of our marquee players didn't play very well, and I thought our coaching staff did a bad job, not just on the onside kick, but running a play before the 2-minute warning as well, essentially giving the Eagles an extra time that they were able to use, I think, before the half and score. So I don't get it. I don't get what this coaching staff does sometimes. And as much as we like Dan Campbell for the sound bites, I think he's got a ways to go before he can be, as an NFL game manager.
Yeah, I'm not going to defend the clock management with the timeouts. I understood it a little bit when they took the first timeout after the Lions got the stop on first down. Because if they get the stop on second and third and force it, they get the ball back. But they only get the ball back with about 40 seconds, if everything plays out the way you hope it will. And our offense wasn't moving that quickly through the air. But I kind of understood it, but I understand your gripe. The onside kick, I'm going to take umbrage with you and with everyone else that has a problem with it. And here's why. The 5 previous drives before the onside kick, the Eagles scored a touchdown. They had 1 punt, and then a touchdown, a field goal, and a touchdown. And the field goal, these were all long 10, 8, 9 play drives that were eating up the clock and killing the Lions' chances of getting the ball back. And we weren't doing anything in those 2 quarters, second and third, to help ourselves. So We're down 10 points in the third. The onside kick was, we're trying to get the ball back right this second because our defense is not getting the stops. So I understood the onside kick. Yes, it was at a weird time and a weird thing, and it didn't go our way. But our defense wasn't getting off the field. So what difference did it really make at that point? The Eagles were eating us alive in the third quarter.
It makes a difference because you're forcing the Eagles to go 80 yards instead of 50.
Which they had no problem doing.
Who knows what happened?
They had no problem doing that.
I mean, but if they're kicking field goals like you said they were too.
One field goal to
three
touchdowns. 3 touchdowns out of the 5.
If they kick a field goal, Matt, if they kick a field goal, the Eagles have 4 less points, the Lions win 35-34. Now, is it going to play out like that? Obviously, we don't know everything that takes place in the sequence of events after that. But you have to run so many more plays, you hope, in an 80-yard drive than you do in a 50. You could just score an 80-yard touchdown right off the bat, and then it doesn't even matter. But you hope that the offense is running more plays in the 80-yard drive to where, again, we don't think Jalen Hurts is so great, right? Maybe he throws an interception. Maybe they fumble a snap. Maybe any one of these stupid things happens. They have a false start, a holding call, a chop block, and it just sets them back 15 yards. Any one of these dumb things could happen that could kill the Eagles' drive that the Lions wouldn't even necessarily have to cause. But you have the momentum. You just got, you're down 10 points, and then Ford Field, again, hats off to everybody who went. Ford Field's going crazy because you're down 10 points. Because they're like, oh my, we might have a shot at this. Because for so long in the game, it felt like they were out of it. They score, and everybody is as riled up as they've been since DeAndre Swift scored or Jamal Williams scored in the first quarter of the first touchdown. And then you gave all that momentum right back to the Eagles, and you basically begged them to score a touchdown. And it was just, I don't know, man. I didn't like it for that reason, is let it play out. Right? Is the defense going to force a 3 and out? No, probably not, because they weren't doing that at all. It seemed like all the Eagles had to do was throw it to A.J. Brown, and then they got anything that they wanted. Because Devontae Smith didn't do anything. No, Okudah did a pretty good job on him, but A.J. Brown was able to get whatever he wanted in the receiving game, and then Jalen Hurts was able to kind of carve the Lions up as well. But, I mean, and anything could happen. They could drop a snap, they could do whatever. And that is why I would say you don't kick it, or I mean you don't onside kick it. You let the Eagles go 80 yards if they're going to go 80 yards, which they already did do. But let them do it again.
I get it. It's
harder than going 50.
I'm not saying it was the right call. I'm saying when I look at everything that's happened and the fact that in the 6 possessions the Eagles had in quarters 2 and 3, they scored touchdowns on 4 of them. They had 360 yards of offense while averaging over 7 yards per play. And this is when they took this commanding lead that they ended up not giving up because the Lions just couldn't get enough to get all the way back into it. It made sense to me because this defense was not stopping anything that the Eagles were trying to do. You had 4 different guys rushing for a touchdown for the Eagles. Hurts had 90 yards and a score to go along with 240-plus yards passing. And I understood the idea. Obviously, it's a low percentage play, and if we get it, everything's different. Everyone's praising it. But we didn't get it, and it just made it even worse. And the Lions just didn't do enough, especially in that first half. God-awful. Jared Goff was absolutely terrible. 7 for 15 for 53 yards and a pick 6. Just absolutely terrible. In the second half, look, this was impressive because when everyone knows that we have to throw now, he's actually completing passes. And the passes weren't dropped. The receivers were making the big catches, and we were actually getting some points on the board. To go along with Swift having unbelievable night, talking about a guy who, the first guy since Barry Sanders to start the season with 100 yards rushing in the very first game. It was a fantastic night for Swift. Unfortunately, he was the only one who was really a fantastic night for offensively, and the rest of the team let him down.
Yeah, they did. And, you wasted a performance where your running back got 9.5 yards a carry. And that's just not going to happen again, no matter who you are. So, I thought it was I grade that performance lower than what I think most Lions fans do.
I understand. Well, it was nice to see that you were correct about DeAndre Swift. And I hope that he continues this kind of performance throughout the regular season. He said he's trying to accumulate 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. If he does it, he's joining history because it's literally guys by the name of Christian McCaffrey, Marshall Faulk, and Roger Craig. That's it. So if he does that, he's joining some rarefied air. And hopefully the offense is actually pretty okay if he is able to do that, and hopefully Swift will stay healthy enough to do that. But it was a great start. Second highest total on the night as far as a running back is concerned, 144 rushing yards compared to Jonathan Taylor's 161, except Swift did it in half the carries that Taylor did it. Taylor did it in 31. Swift did it in 15. So, who knows if...
still impressive.
It's really impressive. And impressive
like 5 yards a carry against 9.
And it's impressive because of the offensive line as well, because we talked about it with all the questions coming in, the injuries they had to deal with, and it's expected to be a good offensive line when everyone's healthy. Not everyone was there. Most of them were there, and the replacements did a good job. As far as opening holes for the running backs, they did a damn good job. Defensive line, where it's supposed to get a lot better, didn't look much better. They didn't finish the plays. They got pressure on Hurts at times. They couldn't contain him, obviously. 90 rushing yards for a quarterback. Obviously you're not containing him there. But on the times they did get pressure, Hurts escaped in one way or another, which is showing growth on Hurts' side, that he wasn't holding on to the ball long enough to be sacked and was actually throwing it away, which a lot of quarterbacks hate doing, but it is sometimes the smartest play to do. But the Lions have to find a way to finish plays. I don't care that Hutch was being double-teamed. He's supposed to be one of our best players. You're going to get double-teamed. So it's going to make it harder for him to get his stats. But you have got to find a way to finish the play if you are going to become this dominant defensive line that, Campbell and co. are trying to build. They weren't there on Sunday. It's going to take some time and some growth to be that, if they're ever going to be that.
No, people are copping pleas for Hutch like I've never seen before.
Of course.
Like, he was held on every play. Like, man, just shut up.
Unless they blow the whistle, it doesn't matter.
Like, just say a rookie didn't play that well in his first game. It's okay, I promise. Like, don't worry about it. Don't even worry about what Trayvon Walker did. They think he had, 5 tackles, a sack, and an interception or something? Like, it'll be fine. If you think he's going to be good, he's still going to be good. You don't have to put your cape on for him this early.
I hear you.
Played amazing. It's insane to me.
Not going to go out there and say he played amazing, but he wasn't absolutely terrible, and he garnered a lot of attention. But it didn't matter that he garnered a lot of attention because the other guys weren't getting through, taking advantage of that attention to get to Hurts and knock him down. So unless the Lions start finishing the drives defensively, it doesn't matter. And it's what we had talked about coming into the season and why our expectations are not that high as far as this team when it comes to total number of wins. The defense is going to give up too many points. And the offense is going to have to throw and carry the load and score 40-plus points for us to win football games. Everyone's like, oh, well, they scored 35 points. That's enough to win, most of the games in the NFL. Not against the Lions defense. True. It's not. Against the Lions defense, the other team is still going to be able to score more than that. So you have to score more than 35 points if you're the Lions offense until our defense gets better, and it's not better yet.
No, it's not. But I think if the Lions put up 35 points every game, they'll be all right. I know. 35 points is obviously a lot. The defense isn't. I think the Eagles are a really good team, so I don't know that so many teams are going to be capable of scoring 38 or will score 38. A couple of them could probably do it, but they got the Commanders in week 2. If the Commanders score 38, I'd be way more shocked than I was that the Eagles scored 38.
Oh, absolutely. No question there. The Eagles are. They're in one of the weaker divisions in football, which is why I picked them to win the division. I think they're the best team out of it. I still don't think they're a great team. You can call them a playoff team because they are, but there's a different level in playoff teams.
I think they're pretty good.
But I'm still waiting to see the defense. Look, their defense is supposed to be a top, 5-7 defense, something like that. Certainly didn't look like it in week 1, but it's week 1. No one's going to come out absolutely perfectly sharp. Your starters haven't been playing that much. You've been trying to fill backup roles, and those are the guys getting the carry in the preseason games. So we saw it a lot. The offense, not ours as much as other teams, but plenty of offenses throughout week 1 of the NFL looked horribly sloppy because they didn't get any run together in the preseason. You knocked one of the games off. There's only 3 of them now, and you're so focused on building your 53-man roster that the guys that are going to play don't get as much run outside of practice. And so you saw it throughout the entire Sunday, that there was just plenty of sloppy play offensively throughout this first week. So I'm not surprised by that. Yes, if the Lions score 35 points against the Commanders, I think they're going to win that football game. But they need to do a better job stopping the run. They are favored by 2.5.
We'll talk about it on Thursday. Yeah, favored by 1.5, 2.5, something like that.
But they need to stop
We'll
the
see
run
if it
game.
changes by Thursday, but it's interesting.
Because, like, that was supposed to be one of our strong points, was being able to stop the run. They didn't stop the run against Philadelphia. I understand having a mobile quarterback.
By who? We don't have any linebackers.
Well, but our line was supposed to be good as far as, stopping the run, and that didn't come true as well either. So I understand not having a mobile quarterback is going to help the Lions' defense, but if you can't stop the run game, it doesn't matter. In week 1, we did not stop the run game at all.
And the last thing, because we're at like almost 20 minutes here, but like the mobile quarterback thing, obviously Jalen Hurts is more mobile than 90% of the quarterbacks in the NFL, but pretty much all of these quarterbacks can move now. So while we say the Lions have a problem with mobile quarterbacks, all these quarterbacks are going to be able to move in and out the pocket somewhat. You don't see Peyton Manning or like Tom Brady anymore coming out where they're just stuck there, right? We even saw Jared Goff have a 15, 20-yard run, something like that down there in the red zone. And that's just something that even 10, 15 years ago, it just wouldn't have happened for most guys. And Carson Wentz is not nearly the threat to run that Jalen Hurts is. But, like, if you're going to give him that room, he's still going to take it. And, it won't be 20 yards, but it might be 7 or 8.
Yeah. Oh, final props I want to give. Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah played a good football game. He played a good, for all the questions we had about him coming off the injury and the speed not being there and all that and getting torched in practice by second and third stringers on the Lions wide receivers. Devontae Smith had nothing, absolutely nothing as far as yardage, no catches, no yards, nothing. And that was like one of the main guys.
And we got to eat that, because I was looking at our clips today that you can find on YouTube at Detroit Sports Nation on that channel. So go check it out, like, subscribe, all of that. But I was looking at kind of what we were saying before the game, and we were like, man, Devontae Smith is just going to torch Jeff Okudah. And it didn't happen. So shout out Jeff Okudah. Okudah 1, Griffin and Bass 0.
Hey, Ryan Griffin here. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Griffin and Bass. Be sure to give us your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to click the bell to receive the latest notifications from DSN and subscribe for breaking news, community blogs, polls, contests, and other content.